Okay, so good morning all. Let me start with presenting the screen. Let's have a quick recap of what we discussed in the previous class. Right. So in the previous class we discussed about few special methods and their uses. Right. The first method that we discussed was the init method. Right. Stands for initialization, and it invokes when an object is initiated. Whenever the object is initiated, an instantiation happens. Then the init method is what is invoked. Like we saw an example with respect to the time class itself, and then we discussed about how can we make use of this init function, passing the no argument, one argument, two argument, and then ultimately three argument. Right. So the key difference here is when we pass no argument to the function, then it takes by default value that is a 0 0. Right. It resets the time, we can say, or you can say the clock is reset. When we give one argument as the parameter to the function, to the method for the matter, then that one argument is taken for as the first argument, that is for the first parameter, which is r. Right, first is r, then minutes, and then seconds. So when there is only one argument, it will be assigned to the first parameter. When there are two arguments, first two parameters, and then when we have three arguments, that means we have all the three parameters assigned. Right. And one more special method that we discussed was the str method, which is the string method, which actually returns a string representation of a given particular object. Right. So same example, that is time. With respect to time, when we see, when we execute this command, but when we execute it using a str method, that is string method, the output that we get is not an integer, but instead it's a string. Right. So internally the Python will convert that value into a string representation of that particular object. Right. And then ultimately we saw what is an operator overloading. Right. We discussed a method named add, and using a plus operator symbol, how can we perform operator overloading is what we saw. Right. So operator overloading is nothing but the changing the behavior of an operator so that it works with the programmer defined type. Right. So that is the definition or understanding of the operator overloading is what we saw in the previous class. Right. So this particular example here, as you can see, there are two things happening. Number one is the plus symbol, which is actually internally making use of the command that we have just saw, that is the add. Right. So the plus operator is going to make use of the add method to add these two timings, that is start time and the duration time, which is assigned here. And second thing that is happening simultaneously is the conversion of the value, that whatever we have here, right? The conversion of this value from an integer value to a string value. That happens when this print statement is executed. Right. So when the Python encounters this print statement, the integer value of this computed addition, you can say, that value is internally getting converted into a string representation. Okay. So that is what we saw about the operator overloading, str method, and the add method. So, and there's one more link that I have mentioned in the group, which gives you more type of special methods, for example, delete and so on. Right. So I hope you must have gone through those different types of methods as well. So in today's class, we'll be starting off with a topic that is type-based dispatch. Right. So again, this is very interesting topic to be discussed here in the objects and classes and methods, different methods that we have. Right. So as the name suggests, that is type-based dispatch. Right. So what we are trying to do here is we are going to first identify what is the type, right? And depending on the type, we are going to dispatch the values, or you can say we can uh, process further or supply the values, the expected values in the program, right? So how we'll have the same example, that is the addition of the time that we have seen so that the difference here, what type and what type is to be dispatched and so on, we will have a better understanding if we consider the same example. Right, so this particular code here, this whole class, what we have constructed here, as you can see, it has three methods. That is, the first method is the add method, right? Second is the addition of the time, add time method, right? Which is simply going to add the seconds, right, from time to integer, right? After conversion from time to integer, those integer values, two integer values of two different timings will be added as a seconds. That is the second method we have. And the third method is the increment, right? Increment, you all know, we have already come across this method, increment. So as the name suggests, increment, it is going to increment the time. So increment the time, that is in seconds, right? Like a counter. So the problem here, or the issue here that to be addressed is, how can we identify type base, right? What type is it, and how to dispatch further, right? Is what that we are going to see here. So this particular code, this whole class, you can say, it's it is going to check the type of what, type of the object other, right? Type of the object, this object other, right? And then it is going to decide whether to invoke add time or to invoke increment, right? So these two methods, which one to be invoked, will be decided when we execute this add method, right? And depending on what type it is by this object, that is other, object other, and then the Python will decide to which one to be called, that is to call at add time or to call increment. Right? So this decision, right, done by the Python is purely based on the type, right? And then depending on the type, it is going to dispatch. So how it is done, we will have an understanding of this. We will first go through the code, right, and then we will understand depending on what type it is dispatching. So first, the method add, we declare the method add, we have the parameter that is self and the object, the class object other, and then we check if that particular object is the instance, right, of the time object, right? If that particular object is the instance of the time object, then we return the addition of the time, right? So we are going to simply call the add timer here, right? This method here. But if it is not an instance of this time object, then we are simply going to increment the value, right? So if it is an instance, add time, else increment, right? So this particular line of code, this is very important here to understand what exactly that we are trying to do here, right? So what we are doing, we are simply checking whether first that particular object is an instance of our main object, that is time, right? And then if it is an instance, we simply add those two timings. That is nothing but the using this method here, add time, right? And if it is not an instance, we simply increment the value of that object, right? Now, as you can see here, that is instance is another method inside, or you can say is method is a function inside this add method, right? So this is instance is actually a inbuilt method, inbuilt function, sorry. Like for example, what we saw in the previous class, is after, right? So these are the inbuilt functions that we're simply using it. So you don't have to bother about these functions. You can simply use it. They are available inbuilt, right? So what this is instance will do is it will take this value, that is the other, and the class object, right? The class object is other and the value that we are giving, like the time, and it is going to simply return a boolean value, right? Whether it is a false or it is a true, right? That is nothing but whether that particular object is the instance of the class, right? Whether that value is the instance of the class or not. So if it is the instance of the class, then it is simply going to return true, or else it is going to return false, right? So that's how this particular line of code will be able to decide what type is it is, right? So it is quite evident that if it is a instance of that class, then it belongs to that type. But if it is not that type, then it is better simply to go with the method increment, right? So I hope that clears the understanding of how it is going to decide what type and how it is going to dispatch it, right? Dispatch is nothing but taking the value further. It's a type-based dispatch. So if I have to define this particular operation, whatever we just discussed here, this whole operation, let me this code. Yeah. So this operation is what we saw is called the type-based dispatch. The reason is because it dispatches the computation to different methods based on the type of the argument. Right? I hope that this makes sense to you. This is nothing but what do we mean by this is because uh, it dispatches this particular Python code here is dispatches the computation to different methods. Why different methods? It is taking some decisions here in order to select whether uh, take further dispatch the value to the method add time or dispatch it to the method increment, right? So it dispatches this computation to these two different methods. In this case, we have two methods, that is add time and increment, based on the type that we check here, right? Type of the argument, right? So here is another example with respect to what we have been seeing, right? So for example, let's say we have some start time, we have some duration, and we are simply adding these two timings, that is start and duration. And as you can guess, we get this value, right? We highlight it. Yeah. So we get this value. It's a simple addition. But let us try and give an integer value, which we have already tried in the previous class. So we are simply going to add some seconds here to the start time. Start time is 9:45, right? And we are going to add some seconds. So let's say 1337. And the total time comes to 10 hours and 7 minutes, right? But the problem here is that this implementation using this plus operator, what we are doing here, it is not commutative. Commutative means you cannot change or you cannot swap these values here, right? The first argument or the second argument cannot be swapped. For example, here that is print 1337 plus the start time, right? So semantically, they might mean the same, right? Please understand these uh, instruction right here. That is, these two instruction might look same, right? Because meaning wise, that is semantically, when we check, they both mean the same. They should result to the same value. That is nothing but 10 hours and 7 minutes, right? But syntactically they are different, right? Syntactically they mean something else. For example, since we are changing the order here, we are changing the argument which has to be passed. The Python will not understand that whether we are converting the time object to an integer value or an integer value to a time object, right? So since it will not understand this, it will simply throw an error that unsupported operand type, right, or types for that particular operator plus. So what is that? That is integer and that instance, right? So problem is, like I said, instead of asking this time object, which is a start, to add an integer, what we did here successfully, right? But in this case, here the Python is asking an object to add a time object, right? Here, the Python is asking an integer to to add a time object, and it does not know whether how to add this time object to an integer, right? Right. This 1337 is an integer, and this start is a time object, right? So the Python will not understand whether how to add a time object to an integer. It does not know that. But there is a method, special method again, which can help us do that in case if you are really looking forward to execute such type of instructions, then we have a method called RADD, that is the right side addition, right? So usually what we see addition is from the left hand side, right? So right side addition will do the addition other way around, right? So this method will help us to invoke when a time object appears on the right side of the operator. So as you can see, the time object, which is start, is on the right hand side of the operator. So the moment the Python encounters such situation, it is implicitly will call the right side addition method if you have declared it, right? So it will invoke this right side addition, and then you will end up having the same result. So after making use of this r add function or method, then you will get the same answer, that is 10 hours and 7 minutes, right? So here is the yeah, output for this, as you can see. So we get the same value. And the R add function, if you have to have the look upon how is this R add method is written. So this is the R add method, which takes the argument self and the time object other, and it returns the addition in the reverse, or you can say from the right hand side instead of usually a left side addition. Right. Okay, so let us move ahead to understand one of the again important topic, that is polymorphism. Like I discussed in the previous class, we'll be discussing about few basic fundamental topics with respect to classes and objects, right? Because we are discussing, since we are discussing classes and objects, a lot of concepts from the object-oriented programming concepts will be discussed. But the main area of focus will be how these object-oriented concepts are applicable here in Python. Right. So one such basic fundamental concept is called polymorphism. Right. So before we start off with a polymorphism, what does polymorphism mean here in Python? Can I get an answer from you guys that what is polymorphism according to you in general? Yeah. Anybody who can answer what is polymorphism? You can see few messages in the chat box. It says many forms. Can you elaborate, Pradeep? Because it's having multiple meaning to same object. Okay, close enough. Anybody else want to give a try? Yeah, you can also unmute your mic and give the answer. No problem. The typing into the chat box would take more time than answering here. Yeah, anybody else? Swapnil says it is the ability of an object to take on many forms. Yes. Right. So I can see that you have a understanding of what is polymorphism, right? Good. So basically, as you guys mentioned, that it is the ability of an object, of a particular object in the class, to be represented in the multiple forms, right? Or an object can take many forms depending on what is required, what is that we are trying to process there, right? So similarly, the concept remains the same, that is polymorphism, and what type of objects, how we can make an object to play in different forms is what we are going to see here. So let me first define that with respect to function, that when a function that works with several types, it is called polymorphic. Right? That is nothing but when a particular function that is trying to work with several types. Right? So that is nothing but polymorphic. And polymorphism can facilitate code reuses, right? You agree, right? Because since, as the name suggests, that we have the flexibility to, you can say, process the object in different forms, in multiple different forms. So that gives us, that helps us to make the code, reusable. So that is the whole concept of polymorphism and the need why we require polymorphism, because as you can see that there will be so much changing in the infrastructure when we talk about developments. So moving a code from one type to another, or making the code reusable with the with some added features and so on. So that time it shouldn't be a problem. So polymorphism takes care of that, right? So if we have a function that works with several types, we can clearly say that that function is versatile, or that function can be used uh, with some minor changes, okay, right? So, in order to understand this with an example, let us consider the time object that we have been seeing, that is the time object, right? The time object for the add method. Now, this, yeah. So this time object provide an add method. They work with the sum method here. This we have already seen this type of an example already. But here in this case, what we are going to use is we are going to simply give the argument to this method sum uh, a list. That is, we are going to give a list as an argument to this sum function, and then it is going to give whatever the output is expected, right? So in that list, we are going to provide three timings, that is T1, T2, and T3, right, which is initialized here. So 7 hours 43 minutes, 7 hours 41 minutes, and 7 hours 37 minutes, right? So this total of this is what is computed and printed, so which comes around to 23 hours and 1 minute. So the what is the problem here is that we are going to use this different forms of this object to represent and then make use of it. So in general, if all of the operations, that is whatever the operations that we're trying to do here inside the function, if they if all of those operations work with a given particular type, right? Only one given particular type, then the function works with that type itself, right? So, but when we have different type of objects being processed in a same function, then we can say that that particular function is a polymorphic, and that particular function can be made use wherever you know uh, there are possibility of different forms to be represented for a particular object, right? So this is a simple example which we can relate it to what we have already seen in the previous lectures, right? So here, instead of simple integer value, or you can say any variable, what we are trying to provide as an argument is we are giving a list, right? So instead of list, maybe you can give a dictionary, or a tuple. So these are the different forms of the object which can be given as argument here. Right. So polymorphism, as you guys all know, let's discuss a further more important topic, that is interface and implementation. Right. So when we have all these other different types of functions, different types of methods, classes, and objects, right? So we are taking care of the development, but the interface and the implementation, these two things are also very important from the overall overall maintenance point of view, right? So the goal of this object-oriented design is to make a software more maintainable. And how do you define maintainability? Maintainability is nothing but like the flexibility provided by that particular system whenever you are trying to change, bring in a change when we talk about the development of the code or adding new features to the code, right? So any addition any addition to the code is coming at what cost, right? Or whatever the features that are included is how much reliable, how much efficient, right? So there are multiple factors which come in when we talk about the overall maintainability of a particular system, right? But a better design, how do we call that we have a better design is a design principle that will help us to achieve this goal to make a software more maintainable, right? So a good design principle is the one which helps us to achieve this goal to keep the software more maintainable. How? By keeping the interfaces separate and the implementations also separate. So when we have this interface different and implementation different, then we might probably say that the system is better organized or well maintainable, right? A simple example that I can give here is the okay. Before discussing about that example, let us understand with the concepts that we have already learned here, right? Which is with respect to the different methods, right? So we saw different methods when we talk about the interface and the implementation. Uh, Here in this module, we developed so many different types of methods, right? In the class, that is, we develop first we develop a class itself, right? We developed a class for time, then points and so on, right? A different type called point we discussed, different a method, sorry, a class we discussed that is time. So we developed a class to represent that particular time of the day, right? And we used some internal methods, right? Methods which are defined inside this class. For example, this time to integer, then we also discussed integer to time as well, then is after, add time and so on, right? So we discussed so many methods. So we have these methods which are provided by this class, and then we have some implementations, right? We were able to implement these methods in different ways, right? We discussed so many approaches to execute this methods, right? Process these methods. So the details of this implementation depends on how we represent the time. We represented the time in integer format. We represent the time in string format, right? Converting the time to integer to time, right? And then we saw addition of that time, incrementation, right? So we saw these different ways to implement it. Yeah, how we were able to implement this thing using different ways is using the different attributes, right? We had attributes like time object. In the time object, we had attributes like hour, minute, and seconds, right? So I hope you get it, what I'm trying to say here. That is the implementation and the interface, right? So the interface, for example, interface is nothing but the exterior, the output or the result, right? The result what we see, end result, right? So the interface was most of the time same, but the implementation at the back of it was so many times we saw different methods, different ways to do it. Just a simple example, if I have to give, we saw how the time was converted, right? Let me show you again using the same example. Yeah. So here we saw that the output here is same, that is 10 hours, 7 minutes and 17 seconds. But we also saw a different way to print it, right? So here, that is another, we were trying to add an integer to the time object, and we saw the same output. So the interface is same, the output or the end result is same. This here and right here, but the implementation is different. Here we are trying to add a time object to the integer, but here we are trying to add a integer to the time object. So let me go back to the next slide. So we saw that though the interface is same, the implementation was different. Why? Because we have so many different attributes which help us to implement these things in different ways. So, uh, as an alternative, we could replace these attributes with a single integer also. Right? For example, this hours, minute, and second. We could have replaced these values with a single integer, for example, representing the number of seconds. Right? And then this implementation uh, would make some methods like this after, for example, this method that is after much more easier. So the program can be made much more easier, but it would make the other methods which are there placed inside that class. Those other methods might be little, would be little more harder to understand or harder to more implement. Right. So it's not about always the implementation or the interface. Both have to be handled separately, but you have to ensure that there is no problem in interface when you're trying to implement something. Right. So if I have to give an example, you must have experienced it, or you must have read it in the news, or watched it in the news, or wherever. That recently, in the previous week, the Google has faced a problem, right, throughout its applications, right? Be it Google, that is Gmail, or be it YouTube or any other platform, Google Classroom also, right? So in the last week, we saw that there is a small problem that was nothing but a small glitch in the Google server. The problem that they faced was they were trying to keep the interface same by making some changes at the background in the implementation part, right? So they missed out on few aspects there, which disturbed the whole interface, and there was global outrage throughout the Google softwares, right? So what they were trying to do is they were simply trying to update the database at the back, keeping the interface same. So I hope you're able to connect what is interface and implementation, and why keeping these two things separate is important, right? So when you try to implement something, but trying to keep the interface same, you can do it when you have a high level of flexibility at the implementation part, right? So whatever the changes that you make at the implementation will not get affected at the end result, that is nothing but the interface. But once, I mean, if there is a problem, or there is, the link between the interface and the implementation is not clear, then you might get the error, or any glitches that you might find. So the design part of that is very important. So uh, the whole point here is that if you design the interface properly, and if you can change the implementation without changing the interface, this means that the other part of the program don't have to be changed, right? So the other parts of the program are not required to be changed. So this is just one example that I gave here to make you understand that how a change in the implementation or the interface would affect, right? So Google being such a reputed company, such a huge organization, but still when there is a lack in the design part, and we are trying to implement, or when you're trying to bring a change in the implementation part without making change in the interface, then you might get this problem, right? So I hope the concept of this interface and implementation is clear now, right? So if you have any doubt with respect to whatever we discussed in the class, you can ask your doubts. Anybody? Satvik says to allow an entity such a variable or function or an object to have more than one form. Yes, correct, sir. Yes, anybody having any kind of doubt? The session is open for doubt clarification. Yeah, so a quick recap, that is, we discussed about the interface and implementation. Then we discussed about the polymorphism, right? When does a function is called as polymorphic, right? And then we started our lecture with discussing the important topic, that is type-based dispatch, right? So this particular program, this complete class here is again very important, right? Because this will, this is a pure example, it's very simple and a very clear example of how a particular class can discuss, or how a particular class can come to a conclusion that what is the type based upon, and how to dispatch further the and come up to uh, which method to be executed for that particular type, right? So, if you have any uh, doubt with respect to these three topics, that is type-based dispatch, polymorphism, and interface and implementation, you can raise your doubts. Yeah, anybody having any doubt? Yeah, anybody having any doubt, please reply. What about others? Yeah, others, please, if you have any kind of doubt, please feel free to ask. It could be any silly doubt. They are very simple topics. You have to just go through it to understand what do they actually mean, right? There is absolutely no, you know, advanced understanding that is required here. These are simple understanding. These are the concepts which are already learned. You all know what is polymorphism, what is an interface, what is an implementation, right? What is a data type, and these things, right? So only thing is you have to relate it to how these concepts can be used here in the Python. Right then. So if you have no doubts, then we shall conclude the lecture. We'll meet you in the next lecture.